Hi everybody, it's Christina. Welcome back to Adventures in Polish Land and happy Friday to you. In this week's Friday Reads, I have a reading update and then I wanted to share some book recommendations based on the book that I'm currently reading. So let's jump right in. I did finish The Miseducation of Cameron Post by Emily M. Danforth. This is a YA novel set in Montana. It is about a girl named Cameron Post whose parents die right at the beginning of the novel, and she is not only dealing with the grief of their passing unexpectedly in a car crash, but she is a young lesbian. She's very comfortable and knows who she is, but she does have to try and hide it because she lives in a very conservative community. This takes place in the early 1990s, and her aunt is also a born-again Christian. And throughout the course of the novel, you find out how she experiences life growing up and also what her aunt decides to do, which is send her to a conversion camp and how that plays out for her. I really enjoyed this novel. For the most part, it was very fast-paced for me. It is 470 pages, but it wasn't until we got to the conversion camp where I felt like the plot slowed down a little bit. And now that I'm talking about it out loud, I feel like maybe it does make sense that it slows down once she gets to the camp because she is stuck within their walls. But overall, I gave this, I believe, a 4.5 star rating. It was just very minor things that I didn't like about it, but otherwise I highly recommend this book. I think it's very impactful because you see how she knows who she is, and it's really the other people around her who struggle with that, not her. So, great read. I'm glad I finally got to it. And now I am currently reading The Dutch House by Ann Patchett. I was a little bit nervous for this one because I read Tom Lake a couple months ago, didn't really love it. It was about a 3-star rating for me. This one though, I am absolutely loving. It's so different from Tom Lake, different story altogether. This one is historical fiction. We are following 2 siblings. Our narrator is the younger brother, Danny. He has an older sister named Maeve. And they grew up in this really fancy estate in the suburbs of Philadelphia called the Dutch House. They were raised by their father and their servants at the home, their housekeeper and their cook. And one day, this strange woman is introduced to them. Her name is Andrea. She is sort of an on-again, off-again presence in the home for a few years before Andrea marries their father. And everything in the life of Danny and Maeve changes when their father drops dead of a heart attack when he's 53, and the book goes from there. This story is so intriguing and entertaining, and you're just trying to figure out who these characters are and why they're doing what they're doing. And I am so fascinated by the storyline, and I love any book where the house is a main character in the novel, and that is certainly the case for The Dutch House. I mean, it's in the title of this book in particular, but I love a book that has a house as a main character, so I thought I would share some other recommendations. By the way, I have about 60 pages left of this book. I will hopefully finish it tonight. I really want to know how this is going to wrap up, and I am really hoping that something happens. I won't say what, because I don't want to spoil the book. But I thought I would share some of my other favorite reads that focus on a home and where the home is arguably a main character in the novel. And I think we often see this in haunted house stories. And for me, I definitely see that in Jerusalem's Lot or Salem's Lot by Stephen King. This is his second published novel. And I've read this one twice, actually. I am reading all of Stephen King's books in publishing order, and I had read the first 2, and then a long amount of time went by, so I reread the first 2 before I continued on my project. This one is a Stranger Comes to Town book. It is set in the fictional town of Jerusalem's Lot, and Stephen King uses this town in many of his books, so that's really cool. But in this book in particular, a writer comes to town to stay, and he is aware of this big mansion called the Marsden House. It's like this big Gothic mansion that has been abandoned in Salem's Lot, and you know that something really creepy happened there, and it looks like creepy things are continuing to happen there. And when this man comes to town, you know that people are dying or disappearing, animals are showing up killed, and a lot of scary stuff is happening in this town. And it all has to do with that Marsden house, its history, and its present times, and what happens inside those walls. So I'm dancing around the topic a little bit. This is a vampire novel. You don't find out until far into it, but I feel like this is such a well-known story that at this point that is not a spoiler. So if you like horror novels and you want something really creepy, I definitely recommend this one. It's not my personal favorite Stephen King, but it is really good and will keep you hooked for quite a while. It's a longer one. Next, another creepy book is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This one is about another big mansion. This one is in the UK though. And in this book, we are following a young woman. We never learn her first name, but while she is working as a companion to an older woman who is traveling in Europe, she meets a man called Mr. De Winters, and he was recently widowed. His wife Rebecca had passed away, and he decides to marry our narrator. And so she is very young. He is significantly older than she is. She's very naive. She goes to live at his estate, which is called Manderley. And in Manderley, it is this very big, well-run home. There are creepy servants there that are very strange, and she is expected to be the head of the household while her husband is at work, and she is really struggling with that because she has no idea how to run a household, and the staff there is not very helpful in giving her the tools to succeed. And as the book goes on, you find out all of the secrets of this estate, and it's just a really suspenseful novel. This one is called a romantic suspense. I wouldn't really say it's a romance novel. There is a marriage that takes place, but it's not a traditional romance novel in that sense. It's more of a literary thriller, I would say. And the house Manderley definitely plays a big role in this book and is featured prominently right from the first sentence, which is, "Last night I dreamt I went to Manderley again." So you know that Manderley is going to be the focal point of the book, and it's certainly the case. I highly recommend this one. And her other book that I have read is called My Cousin Rachel. That one also features a similar home setup to this one, but I like this one a bit better. The next book recommendation I have is A Sudden Light by Garth Stein. I read this as an e-book several years ago and I absolutely loved it. I gave it a 5-star rating. This one is about a teenage boy. He and his dad are going to visit their grandfather. There is a big family house that has been in the family for generations, and he is teaming up with his aunt, I believe it is, because they want to get the house ready for sale so they can sell it off. And they believe that their grandfather is suffering from dementia or Alzheimer's and that they're going to have to put him in a nursing home. And throughout the course of the novel, I absolutely loved exploring the house in this book. Again, it is a big old house with lots of hidden rooms and hidden compartments with lots of old items inside, and the main character actually learns a lot about his ancestors throughout the course of the book, as well as learning about his grandfather, and they form a connection as well. This one mixes reality with, I would say, magical realism / a ghost story. So you do have to suspend your disbelief a little bit in order for this plot to work. But for me, it was such a moving and touching story. I absolutely love the setting. And I think this is a really creepy book as well. Definitely more leans towards historical fiction because you do jump back in time at points. But overall, this is a really good book that I don't hear people talk about often, so I would highly recommend it. And I have read his other book, The Art of Racing in the Rain, which is totally different than this one. So if you did not like The Art of Racing in the Rain, I would not let that preclude you from reading A Sudden Light because the stories could not be more different. And then finally, changing gears a little bit, I have The Last Summer of You and Me by Brashares. This is the same author as the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants series, and as you can guess by the cover and the title of this book, this is a summer story. And what I love about it is you are following a family who spends every single summer at their same beach house. And I just love the atmosphere of this family opening the house together every year. They have their favorite spots within the home. There are spots that get sand in them. They have to close the kitchen at the end of the year and close the house down and winterize it. And it is a very special spot for this family. And over the course of the novel, you see how the kids are growing older and things are changing, and how it can be really difficult to move on from somewhere that has been such a comfort to you every summer of your life. And this one mixes one family with another close family friend that they have, and there might be a love story. Overall, I don't remember all of the details of the story itself, but I definitely remember how the house was such an important part of the novel. And when I was looking at my bookshelf, picking out recommendations for this video, this one stood out to me because I just remember thinking that it would have been so nice if my family had a beach house that we went to every year. I think that must be so wonderful for everyone who has that, because it seems like such a special place, and you definitely get that feeling in this book. I would love to hear from you in the comments if there are any novels that you recommend where a home is one of the main characters of the story. I think I do especially love it when there's a big old house that holds secrets inside, whether they be secret rooms or there's old artifacts from the past owners. I find that really, really cool. And I actually sometimes on Instagram will get videos served to me of people who buy an old home and they make videos about, I found a secret room in my home, and then they do this long series uncovering the room. It is so interesting to me. So let me know what you think. What books do you recommend? I hope you're all having a great day. I hope you have a great weekend, and let me know what you're reading in the comments. Bye.